Hello, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane and Hurricane HD video blog for the 20th of September, 2012. Got another out of the tropics development. This is a classic subtropical storm trying to ramp up here. You can see it's got a dry slot inside of it. It looks a lot like a cinnamon roll like you get at Panera Bread that's all curled up, you know. You've seen that, right? And its energy is spread out over a larger area. It's not as warm in the center. It's just a different type of system, sort of a hybrid between a mid-latitude storm that forms up here, sometimes comes off the continents, and a tropical system because it is over the warm water. And I think this will become Oscar before too long. And there's Bermuda. You may get some inclement weather out of this as it circulates around. It's also got that comma shape to it. Very well defined subtropical storm that kind of falls between the cracks of tropical and just your run-of-the-mill ocean storm. Then we have Nadine up here still spinning around with convection waxing and waning. Water temperatures in this region of the Atlantic not nearly as warm as elsewhere. More energy coming off of Africa. These tropical waves continue to march west, and I think it's only a matter of time until one of them gets over here into the Western Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico, especially in October, and they will develop. I think it's just a matter of time. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. So here is this subtropical system out here in the Atlantic. You can see there are some bursts of convection going up with it, probably very windy, choppy seas all around that. Here's one cold front that's already cleared, well, in most cases cleared the coast. Here's another cold front coming down. We're changing the seasons, and so you can expect front after front now dropping in, and eventually one of them will probably tap some moisture down here, if not lure a system out of the Caribbean, possibly up into Florida, or if the high pressure builds in enough behind one of these fronts, something could get steered into Central America. I'm telling you, October, do not be surprised if we see something in the month of October, and here's part of the reason why I think that's a possibility. The MJO forecast from the GFS showing a little bit more favorability coming over here towards phases 8. We really are looking to see if the MJO forecast heads over to phases 1 and 2, which, as I've said many times before lately, that's where we were when we had Isaac develop. It is much more likely to have tropical cyclone formation when the MJO comes over into this region through here. And we're making some progress with it. The different forecasts indicating that the pulse will leave the western Pacific and eventually head for phase 8. And then we'll see if it can get over into 1 and 2 towards the middle of October. The European model, the ECMWF, also indicating with some of its ensemble members here, hard to see, but there are a few of them getting back over into phase 8. And so, like I said, it's slowly starting to make some progress, aiming towards what could be an interesting secondary peak. This is our first peak of the season here around September the 10th. Then, around October the 15th or so, as you can see right here in this timeline, try to draw a straight line, there's our secondary peak in mid-October, and that's a pretty substantial peak. You know, you come down off this high, and then you get a nice peak there, and there's a reason behind it, also in hurricanes as well. There's just enough over the last 100 years development because of the way the MJO works, the way the pattern changes, that there is definitely a noticeable secondary peak here towards the middle part of October, and then another one in early November, right before the season completely shuts down. And another reason why I think we could see something develop again in the Western Caribbean or Gulf of Mexico area. First of all, we're really starting to take the heat out of the subtropics with all that development up there. But down here in the Caribbean, sea surface temperatures running above normal. That's my phone buzzing. Sea surface temperatures running above normal still. All of this region is relatively untapped. Ernesto back in early August was it. And you see the Pacific here. This is not an El Nino. I mean, come on. Even out here, look at the Central Pacific. Cold anomalies coming back in. Cold anomalies here in the Eastern Pacific. We are not under the influence of any kind of a strong El Nino. That, with climatology, the MJO possibly getting more favorable for this region, the warm sea surface temperatures in here, the lack of El Nino, I will be surprised if we do not see a hurricane form somewhere in this region before the end of October. Now, where it goes, I couldn't tell you, but I think that logic would dictate that, yeah, there is good evidence to suggest that we will see one or two more developments in the western Atlantic Basin before all is said and done. Right now, though, the only issue is Nadine, and where that'll end up could be Portugal or Spain. Very interesting. I'm going to write a blog post about it, and I'll talk more about it in tomorrow's video update as well. So there's a look at the tropics today. No big problems out there, as you'd expect, with the development all being out of the deep tropics. Nothing to worry about. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, my website. Always an honor to produce these videos for you on Hurricane and Hurricane HD, and I'll do it again for you tomorrow.